I'm what you would call an amateur prepper. Kind of adopted the mindset of prepare for the worst and hope for the best. There's a lot of skills that you can develop and train in order to become not only healthier, but to survive in a emergency situation. So we're gonna go over those now. Quick note, I'm not a trainer or a doctor, and everyone has their own physical capabilities and limits. So please consult your doctor before starting any kind of training program to make sure that you're not gonna get hurt. Now, one thing I harp on all the time is mobility. That's the ability to move your joints through a range of motion, not flexibility. It's an active movement through a range of motion. And being able to be mobile is very, very good for not only just being good at exercises and different movements, but it's also good for injury prevention. And in a disaster situation, you don't want to have a hip pop out of socket or some sort of musculoskeletal injury that could have been avoided had you been a little more mobile, had your joints been able to withstand a little more impact. I always harp on training mobility every single day, more than once a day if you can, because it's just going to help your overall posture and your overall health and longevity. It's going to help you feel better. It's going to help you reduce the amount of pain in your body, but it's also good for injury prevention, which is key to survival in an emergency situation when you might not have access to medical care. So always train mobility every day. Start now. It's only going to benefit you. Skill number 2 is going to be cardiovascular endurance. I don't know if anybody likes cardio, but you can do wonders for your cardiovascular system just through something called low-level steady state cardiovascular exercise. So things like walking or jogging or biking at a slow pace, enough that you're not out of breath, but it's getting your heart rate up. Doing that for 20-30 minutes a day, a couple times a week, not even every day, just a couple times a week, can dramatically improve not only your blood flow to certain areas of your body, but also just the amount of blood volume that you have and the amount of oxygen that can be delivered to your muscles. So not to say you can't do high intensity stuff every now and then, but you can work wonders with some low-level steady state cardio. Getting 10,000 plus steps a day is just good for your overall health anyway, but doing things like this is going to be one step closer to being able to perform in high stress situations. Skill number 3, I'm going to turn around here. Oh, that's bright. Skill number 3 is going to be grip strength. So we want to make sure that whatever we're trying to lift, carry, drag, we can actually grip it. So if you can't grab a hold of something, you're not going to be able to pick it up. You're not going to be able to hold on to a ledge to pull yourself up. You're not going to be able to drag that animal carcass out of the woods. You're not going to be able to pick someone up to carry them if they're injured. So grip strength is vitally important, and there's lots of different exercises you can do to improve your grip strength. Things like picking up some heavy weights and walking around with them, or hanging from a bar, hanging from a ledge. Mix up the thing you're hanging from, because not everything in nature and in an emergency situation is going to be a 1-inch bar like a pull-up bar. So practice gripping and hanging onto things for, I don't know, 20, 40, 60 seconds at a time to improve that grip strength and endurance. Things like deadlifts and any kind of pulling movements in the gym will also improve this, but again, you want to make it as dynamic as you possibly can in order to ensure that your grip isn't just adapted to one diameter bar and one type of weight. And this last skill is probably one of the most important, and that is carrying or moving unbalanced loads. What I mean by that is you're not always going to have a perfectly balanced bar on your back or a perfectly balanced backpack strapped down and cinched tight against your back. Sometimes you'll have to be carrying something in your hand but nothing in the other hand, or you have to be carrying 2 different weights in each hand and be carrying them out through irregular terrain. A lot of what this does, this skill, is improves your core stability, because if your core can balance a 50-pound weight in your right hand and a 20-pound weight in your left hand, that's going to be more beneficial than doing planks and crunches and sit-ups and all that stuff. So being able to pick up an animal or a person and throw them over your shoulder, that's not going to be a perfectly balanced weight. So I encourage you to try throwing a sandbag over your right shoulder and walking half a mile, or grabbing a kettlebell and doing 100-yard quick walks. And this is going to not only help you improve your grip strength in a lot of these, but also help you improve just your core stability and strengthen all those connective tissues as well. And one last bonus tip is make sure that when you're training outdoors and you're training on as irregular terrain as you can. So walking through the woods, climbing up over logs and rocks and things like that. because in a survival situation, you don't know what kind of terrain you're going to end up being in. You could be in an urban terrain where everything's paved and everything's flat, and all you got to worry about are some stairs, you know, every now and then. But if you're out in a more rural area, you're going to have to traverse different spaces, different environments in order to get water, get food, go scavenge for items and materials in order to survive. And if you can't traverse, you know, a mile's worth of hilly woodland, you're gonna be in a sore spot. So make sure that you're out there training when you're doing your low-level steady state. Do it through some rougher terrain. You know, you can go slow, but then your body is going to be able to adapt. Your ankles, your knees, your hips, your back, everything's going to start adapting to that irregular ground that you're walking over, which will eventually, again, your body adapts. Your body adapts constantly to different stressors. And if you're adding these stressors in now, it's not going to be a shock if poop hits the fan, as it were, and you have to be going through the woods every day to go find food or go find water. So that's my last bonus tip, to make sure that you're training and walking and moving and maneuvering through different environments with different terrain. If some of these tips are beyond what your skill level is at this point and you want some beginner tips, check out this video, because it's about how to start moving if you've never exercised before or it's been a long time since you've exercised. This is going to be your starting point, then come back to this video once you get yourself back into the habit of moving more often and exercising regularly. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.